For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
And knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here is college football playoff national champion. On the game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of the game, we'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. Blake Toppmeyer swings by from USA Today. We'll continue our camp coverage around the University of Alabama. Another practice day. Ryan Grubb talks. We listen starting at 2 p.m. on the game on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app.
And knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 12:30 WTBC. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and are ready to roll into yet another week here in the college football world, where we're going to talk plenty of it. Fall camp still very much a thing. I believe Chase, it's hard to even keep up now because there's been so much has gone on even over the weekend with Media Day. Had another practice yesterday. I want to say we're on day 5. This is practice number 5 that just concluded, which, again, crazy to think about. There's only about, 18 or so, more or less, before the season kicks off. I know we do the countdown, and I know we always have Crystal in here keeping us up to date. We're about 26 days away, so less than a month, which is crazy. But the fact that we're just flying through training camp, man, I mean, I still can't wrap my head around it. I know I say that every day, but it really just is flying by. Maybe it's because I have a million things going on, too. I don't know what it is. But we are 5 days in of training camp. They just concluded. We'll have more media availability today. Coming up shortly, again, we've learned around the top of the hour is typically when we start having those things roll in. I believe we're hearing from the offensive side of the ball again today. So Ryan Grubb, I imagine, is speaking and addressing the media here shortly. Have some offensive players available again. Again, they had media day this weekend. We heard from a whole bunch of guys. They had a number of guys available to the media. So we got so many things we can pick and pull from. We got some little fall camp intel and nuggets we'll talk about and discuss things that have kind of gone on so far. Again, about a week into it, going into the second week. So we need to address kind of where things are right now, keep you guys up to date, and, of course, answer any questions that you might have. 205-342-9904. That is the phone number if you guys want to call in. We always love to take calls. I know sometimes we're a little it takes a little time to get there sometimes, but I promise we're going to get you guys on here and talk about what you guys want to talk about, which I'd imagine is fall camp because we're in the thick of it right now. And speaking of talking fall camp, I got something lined up for you guys here in hour number 2 that I think you're going to enjoy. At 12:30, we will have a brand new guest joining us. He's going to join us today, but I believe we're going to have it set up so he's going to join us weekly. Somebody that you guys have mentioned before. I know you guys really enjoy listening to him. I get to catch him sometimes on multiple platforms, and that is none other than Jimmy Stein. He's going to be joining us on the stream at 12:30. So we will hear from Jimmy, get the latest from his perspective. I know he's an insider. He's got some good intel. So we'll go pick the brain of Jimmy Stein and ask him what is the latest from what he's hearing, maybe seeing from Alabama's fall camp 2026-5 practices through. So we got pretty much a full day, plenty of interviews that we're going to break down. Of course, intel nuggets we'll talk about before all that. And then now Jimmy Stein joining us at 12:30. So we've got a full one here on the show. Looking forward to it. And we'll talk about all the good things coming up here in a moment. First, I got to remind you about our friends over at Lamprella Law Education and Advocacy. If you need some representation, you're looking for somebody to represent you, whether it's a criminal matter, which, hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation, but things happen, academic misconduct, NIL, they've got you covered. Whatever it is that you need representation for, Adam and his team at Lamprella Law will take care of you. Not only do they do it in a first-class manner, but they are affordable, right? We all know things are expensive. Everything's expensive nowadays, especially representation. Adam will take care of you, especially those Crimson Tide fans, which we know we have a whole bunch of you guys listening to the show. So check them out, lamprello-law.com. You can schedule a free consultation right there, find out more information, read some testimonials. Plus, they also offer a number of other services for high school, college, graduate students, whether that's academic and career planning, subject matter mastery, exam and test taking preparation, all those things they offer for you. All at Lamprella Law Education and Advocacy. Again, that's lamprello-law.com, the official representation right here on the Miller's Edge. Chase, I know you mentioned you're feeling better. If you want to say hey to the folks listening real quick so they can hear you, because I know you're under the weather and I know people are concerned. Now, Ricky was accusing me of not getting you some tea. So, Chase, if I need to DoorDash you some tea to the studio today, I'm ready to do it. Ricky said, hey, man, take care of your guy, Chase. I said, you're right, Ricky. I need to get him some tea if he still needs it. But you told me you're feeling good. So we're good today, Chase? You need that tea?
I appreciate you, Christian. It's good to see you. But yeah, I'm back to 100%. Just, I had to take my vitamins. It's kind of, sometimes we forget that in the mornings, but I have to be better about that. But yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm excited for today's show, but I appreciate you, Christian. And it's good to be back at 100% because being under the weather is not for the weak. I'll tell you that. No. But how are you doing today, Christian?
I'm good. Busy, but good. And that's a good problem to have. And I'm just blessed, man. Blessed to wake up this morning, blessed to be able to do something I enjoy, blessed to be with all you guys, and blessed to be able to talk football and ultimately, man, get you guys ready for football season, which, speaking of that, I was talking with my partner, right, Roger Hoover this morning. So just a quick reminder, during the season, I know I've been doing I've done sideline, right? I host the post-game show, which I currently still do, but now I also will be doing the pregame show with Roger Hoover every single game day. So if you guys aren't sick of me by the time we hit Friday, because you're listening to me just run my mouth Monday through Friday right here on the Miller's Edge, 11 to 1, I'm sorry, buckle up, because you're going to hear even more of me now, right? You heard me after the games. Well, you're going to hear me before the games even more. Me and Roger already doing some stuff before, some pregame segments, but now I'm pretty much co-hosting with him before every single Alabama football game. So make sure you guys tune into that on the Crimson Tide Sports Network every single game day. Of course, you can catch it wherever you listen to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. I know for a fact you can listen to it on Tide 100.9. So make sure you guys tune in to, I guess, the Tide 100.9 app if that's easiest for you to check that out. Because me and Roger, we want to get you guys ready for the game. And then me and Gray Robertson are going to take you guys home, whenever you're driving home or just need a little bit of a breakdown or trying to figure out what the heck just happened. Me and Gray got you covered on that end. So looking forward to it, man. Our plate is full, and that is a good problem to have. If you pray for more opportunities, well, you can't complain when you get them. So we're ready to rock and roll with that. Chase, in terms of media day, really good stuff, man. Michael Carroll had a really good interview. I don't know if you guys have watched that. I really kind of want to pull that up and maybe play it early or maybe hit on some of the important things. I'll just tell you what, man, just listen to that young man speak. He is very impressive, right? A very impressive young man. And he's a really young guy still. Remember, he was only a true freshman last football season, but just listening to him, man, the maturity in which he speaks with, I mean, just he's intentional with how he answers questions. There's times where some questions might come up where it probably would be in his best interest, maybe not to directly answer them. He did a perfect job doing that. And you could just tell the competitive nature that he has. He strikes me as a leader, even being a young guy. I'm going ahead and put my money on this. Now, we don't have any gambling sponsors. Now, if you guys want to hook us up with one, we gladly will take one. I will be putting my money on Michael Carroll leaving the University of Alabama as a permanent team captain like myself in 2018. Sorry, I just had a quick brag real quick. It's something I'm extremely proud of. Got a tattoo for it. And also, I would say that Michael Carroll is without a doubt going to be a leader on this football team. But I can totally see him being a permanent team captain when it's all said and done. Maybe not this year because he's only a sophomore. Not saying it can't happen. But I would expect maybe the following year, right, when he's a junior, probably going to be his last year, given that he's a very talented individual. I'm sure he's going to be on a lot of draft radars, a lot of draft boards if he's not already, right? You can still be on those boards when you're young, clearly, for the future. I'm putting that down, Chase. Mark my words today. August 10th, 2026, Michael Carroll will leave the University of Alabama permanent team captain. Just the way he carries himself. And not only that, I guarantee, I'll put this down too. He will represent Alabama at SEC Media Days next season. Mark that down, Chase. Do you want to put a little friendly wager on that, or are you in agreement with me? You're not going to go against that? Did you hear the interview?
I heard a little bit about it, and I can see why you're very heavily on Mr. Carroll. He's grown a lot since being here at UA. Kind of reminds me a lot of like Tyler Booker, somebody that leads the room and is not afraid of the moment. And that's a high bid for sure. And I don't have anybody in particular that maybe might replace that, but I don't mind finding a wager just to have a little fun with it. But that's a very, very great pick, especially by accepting the captain yourself. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the way he carries himself, man. I mean, and it's not all about that, right? I mean, you got to actually back it up. You got to be somebody that your guys depend on and can count on. Like, there's a lot of factors that go involved with being named a permanent team captain. But he already has all the tools and traits, and he embodies it on the football field. But just seeing him in front of that microphone, which we've heard him speak to the media before, but this was just yet another opportunity. Just a very impressive young man. Like if Tyler Booker's actually a good one, because he also was a guy that represented Alabama. I believe he also walked away as a permanent team captain, and a very similar type of guy in terms of the tenacity and physicality they play with on the offensive line. That's actually not a bad little comparison there, just kind of looking at the whole picture. But we got to hear from him. Yanze Pierre was also up on a podium. Really a number of guys. The only folks you really didn't hear from were the quarterbacks, which is pretty much expected given the history, right? Anytime there's a quarterback battle, they typically keep those guys on the shelf, which I understand, right? You don't. The media's already asking the other players about the quarterbacks enough, right? You put those guys in front of the cameras, of course, people are going to be asking certain questions that you probably just want to stay away from right now. So we didn't hear from the quarterbacks directly, but you did get to see them. Matter of fact, everybody in attendance was, pretty much flooding Keelan Russell and those guys to take pictures. I know there's been some speculation regarding that one clip of some of the players waiting in the line to see Keelan Russell. Then they basically just go shower him with love and go, take a picture with them, kind of joking around. And some people were saying, hey, you talk about quarterback battles and, you got to win the team. That's a big part of it. Well, a lot of people were kind of reading into that, Chase. We'll talk a little bit about, could we pull something away from that little clip? It's probably like 5 seconds. Is it meaningful? Maybe it's pointless. Maybe it's just nothing but a little bit of fun. We'll talk a little bit about that. And more, we'll drop some of the latest nuggets, just some of the overall impressions of kind of what's been going on, update on the run game, things like that. All that coming up. But first, we got to hit a timeout. Don't go anywhere. This is our first one. We come back with rocking and rolling. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, would prefer to watch the show where we got clips pulled up again, courtesy. These are Bama Online's clips that we're playing right now on our YouTube channel. I want to be clear about that. Make sure you guys check us out at The Miller's Edge. On YouTube, of course, on X at The Miller's Edge as well. My personal X at Christian Mill R. You can watch it there. And then I know the Tide 100.9 Facebook page. We're always up and running right there as well. And who knows, maybe we're going to expand in more platforms. I got an invite from Kick, which is a streaming service, to start streaming there. Now, I'm not an IRL streamer or anything like that, but who knows? Maybe you guys have Kick or want to watch over there. We'll see where the wind blows. But first, we'll hit this timeout. We come back, we rock and roll on this Monday edition of The Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Quick timeout. Don't go
up. Aleve will keep you moving. From sunup to sundown, Aleve's got your back this summer. Feel Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. The high today headed to 95 degrees. Guess what? It's going to feel even hotter. That heat index around 106 though. You factor humidity with a light breeze out of the south. And as temperatures heat up, there may be a few scattered thunderstorms developing. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun. Any rain that does move in today will taper off through the evening with an overnight low dropping to 76. After some early sun tomorrow, some afternoon storms may pop up with a high of 94. And hot and humid Wednesday with afternoon storms at a high in the mid-90s. This is meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 88 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
24/7, 365. We've got all your coverage of the Crimson Tide on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. As you guys can see, if you're watching via our streams, we got some practice footage pulled up from today's practice. Again, this is courtesy of Bama Online. This is their content from today's practice. We're just rolling with it here on our stream. But again, this is content of Bama Online that we're rolling just from today's practice. We got clips from yesterday's practice. So we got plenty of stuff we'll be talking about and pumping out. And, of course, answering y'all's questions, whether it's on the phone lines or here in the chat, which we had one from Salt, Pepper, Fire that kind of stood out. And so let's just start here. Again, we are about a week into training camp, more or less, day number 5 now in the books. We got media availability coming up. We're loaded today. Chase, this is the blessing of this time of year. Dog days of summer in the media. I don't think people understand how difficult it can be trying to come up with, especially when you're like, all right, we try to branch off and cover pretty much all the big news that we can. But we know the reality is everybody really wants to talk Alabama football. So when you're like, man, when people want to concentrate on one thing, you're like, golly, man, we need some fresh content. But now it's like, Chase, I feel like we have so much content, we're skipping out on things. We can't even get to everything. Maybe that means I need to stop talking so much and start bouncing from thing to thing. That said, our first question will start here. I thought it was a pretty good one. Are there any nuggets in all the coach speak that gives you, as a former player, an idea of who will start at quarterback? If I'm being completely transparent, I wish there was an answer that I could give you where I could say, yep, you know what, I have the leg up by really listening to what's being said, and I can tell you, yeah, this is what this means, and yeah, you can bank on. I'll be honest with you. Basically what I've pulled out from kind of listening to coaches speak on this, and even now some players, Chase, they asked a number of players about both of these individuals. You really hear, both guys are spoken so highly of, right? For every time you hear somebody talk about Keelan Russell and just the ability that he has, the high upside and the ceiling that he brings just because of the pure talent, right? Like the throws, something that I've been talking about, right? I remember even back in the spring, we used to have this one guy that used to come and comment on all the videos of like, man, you just want Keelan Russell so bad. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, no, I'm telling you just what my eyes have seen. The guy is a special talent. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he doesn't have any flaws. I'm not saying he doesn't have any weaknesses to his game. But there's just something about certain players when you turn on that tape, Chase, and they just have something to them, right? And it's not even just quarterbacks. It's really any position. There's something that they do that really makes them flash. There's something that they do that separates them from even good players, right, that play the same position. Like there's just something. And to me, that's just kind of what I see in Keelan Russell. That's something I've seen in him since he got here. Like I always will go back to that first practice that I got to see him. I think it was, matter of fact, I think it was his first practice. I think it was the first practice when he first got here. It just, the way he was throwing the football, the way it came off his hand, the times I saw him, escape the pocket, evade something, and then he's just kind of throwing back across the field, something you typically don't do, but he can do it in a fashion where you're like, oh man, dang, how did he just do that? To the point where it's clearly not just me, because his own teammate pretty much was saying the same thing. I think they had asked Marshall Pritchett, I believe, about both quarterbacks, and I think he pretty much said that same thing, Chase, that there's some throws that the guy makes that you're just like, how did he just do that? That's the kind of player that he is, the kind of player that he can be, right? And so that's clearly just going to stand out, right? I think, matter of fact, he termed him, I guess, dynamite in a bottle, right? Marshall Pritchett said the guy's an incredible athlete, incredible football thrower. It's so hard to explain his game if you haven't kind of seen it fully in person every day like we do. He just makes throws, and it's like you rewind the film, and you're like, there's no way he just did that. How did he just do that? That's the only way to explain Keelan. The guy's dynamite. That's what I've been saying since the guy got on campus, right? That's what I've been trying to explain. Like, as somebody who's seen it more than just the few snaps he got last year or, you know what I mean, in A-Day, that's kind of what I've been trying to explain. And I guess unless you're really seeing it, people just aren't maybe going to fully buy into that. Maybe, I don't know. That said, it is important to acknowledge, Chase, that doesn't mean that there's no love for Austin Mack. As a matter of fact, you always feel that, at least to me, when Kalen DeBoer is asked about the quarterbacks, a lot of the attention naturally starts shifting towards Keelan just because most people do kind of believe in what Marshall Pritchett was just talking about, it, whether they are going off of the minimal snaps that he's played, or even just as a recruit, whatever the case may be. But there's always in some type of way, shape, or form, it kind of drifts back into Austin Mack, where he is brought, at least for Kalen DeBoer. And whether that's just him trying to be respectful and trying to give all his guys credit, which I totally understand, or if he truly believes it, which I think is both, because everybody that I've talked to has said the same thing. Both guys right now are playing some really good football, right? To the point where I don't think one's necessarily truly separated themselves just yet, right? I mean, I'm sure one's had better days than the others, right? Or made some plays here, other one made some plays there. But so far, to my understanding, right? I mean, this battle is very much ongoing. So that's a long way to answer your question. But I would say between the coach speak and kind of what we're hearing, to me, I think there just genuinely is a very tight battle going on right now. There's been some things that I feel like I've heard a little bit where it just feels like Austin Mack still naturally and as expected kind of has a little bit of maybe a leg up in terms of just his understanding of things, Chase, right? With him being older. I know age-wise they're relatively around the same age, more or less. However, he's got a whole extra, year or two under his belt in college, right? So, I mean, and within the system, which is really important. That's one thing that everybody immediately brings up. Like with him, it's like, hey, you get the play, everybody's lined up, boom, boom. Like he's quick, he's snappy, he knows everything. The ceiling might not be as high as Keelan Russell, but he clearly has a little bit of an advantage in that aspect, which is totally expected. So I don't think too much has really changed from what we've been talking about here on the show since spring, right? You got the uber talented young guy who has a ceiling that is just exceptional. And when you look at him, you're like, man, that's the type of guy you need to go win championships. Then you also look at Austin Mack and you're like, this guy can go win you a bunch of football games too. And it's not that he's not talented. He clearly is very talented too. Ceiling might not be as high, but he also gives you maybe a little bit more comfortability when you're talking about, I don't know, operation and management of the offense just because of that extra experience. Maybe a little bit in terms of like decision making, a little bit of a safer option, right? It's almost like higher risk, high reward maybe type of deal. So, that would be my answer to that. I don't think we have anything truly indicating who's going to end up starting at quarterback. We'll hear from the offensive side of the ball again today. Maybe we can pull something from that and then kind of go off it. But so far, I would say, if anything, Chase, it almost just feels like, I wouldn't be shocked if, with things being so close, and we've been saying this, I feel like Keelan's going to have to take that job, right? I think Keelan's going to have to be undeniably the better guy. I think if it's relatively close, I think they probably say, hey, let's give Austin Mack the go and then kind of go from here, right? Because I feel like you could make that decision and then end up going to Keelan there, but it'd be kind of, I don't know, not awkward, but I feel like that's probably the easier choice versus starting Keelan and then trying to go backwards. I almost feel like if you start Keelan since he's younger anyway, again, they both don't have much experience, but it's like, hey, you just got to stick with it and just let him grow. If not, I feel like you can almost kind of mess things up. I almost think the better option would be start with Mack if it is that close. See what he can do, and then you got Keelan right there, locked and loaded, ready to roll. Personally, I wouldn't be shocked if that's how it plays out. But I still just feel like something about Keelan's game, Chase, if you're not going to have that true experience factor like some of these other top contender teams have, it's hard for me to say, hey, don't roll with a guy like Keelan Russell, because both guys kind of lack the experience anyway. Whoever's going to get in there is going to have to go through growing pains. We already know that. They're going to have to learn from trial and error. And so if you're kind of making that decision, that's kind of like what Smitty said. I think he's on the phone lines. Maybe you do just say, hey, roll with the young guy. Let him learn a little bit, right? So it's a tough decision that they have to make. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's a very tough decision that they have to make. But with only 5 practices in fall camp, I truly believe it's still way too early. Haven't even had an official scrimmage yet. But I can say this, and I'll end on this note. The folks I've talked to have said, outside of just them against each other, the quarterback position just as a whole right now, the way both of these guys are all performing in that room, really, it's been very good. It's been very solid to the point where it's almost, I think, like they're performing more efficiently than they were last year, right? I mean, because they track all these numbers and stats and stuff like that. So if anything, that's a positive sign, because you're like, all right, sounds like both these guys are already on a higher trajectory of kind of where we were last year, right? And Ty Simpson ended up being a really good quarterback, dealt with some injuries, couldn't do it all himself, ultimately was a first-round draft pick. You know what I mean? So if you're kind of hearing that, I think that's very encouraging regardless of kind of where we're at with this current battle. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back, we keep on rolling. We keep talking fall camp. And I see we got folks lined up on the phone line, so we'll start mixing in some phone calls while we keep trying to break all this stuff down. We got plenty of content. That's a great problem to have. We'll get to it when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393-9149 for your free estimate today. That's 205-393-9149. Asphalt Restoration, where smooth roads start. Roll Tide.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation across the United States and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors who are shaping the next
in cars. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text stop to stop. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Proud
what does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
Yes! Roll Tide all the time. This is Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Chase, here's some quick little nuggets and intel, right, that I want to drop before we go to the phone lines, because I know we need to kind of catch up kind of what we've seen, I guess, through 1 week of fall camp. Now we're rolling into week number 2, and I know a lot of people are finally, getting in here right? Even though it feels like we just started the show, man. We're already 40 minutes in. It's crazy. It's flying by. I don't think we're going to have enough time to hit everything. It's fine. We'll do what we can. Quick little nuggets, Chase. Number one, I just mentioned this during our break. I was curious kind of about offensive line, right? Of course, everybody's seeing the clips and you're seeing pre-practice and whatnot, but from somebody who's seeing it consistently, right? Like the folks in the building, how's it looking? How's it coming along? And so far, there's been noticeable improvement, Chase. Now, again, like I mentioned before, that does not mean everything's fixed, everything's solved, but I think that's very encouraging, right? That people in the building are acknowledging, hey, man, we're starting to see these guys take some of those steps. That's a very positive sign. Now, again, we haven't had our first scrimmage yet. They still were in shells, meaning just shoulder pads. They haven't went full pads just yet, unless wait, I'm drawing a blank because they weren't in full pad. No, they're still in shells this morning. They haven't even gone full pads just yet. You still can be very physical in shells. Don't get me wrong. So there's still plenty of time that these guys have to keep working. But that to me was a very positive sign. We talked about in the running game breakdown that I did, man. You got to have more physicality, get more push, right? You just got to play with more of an edge up front in the trenches. And that definitely is a positive sign, especially given the fact that this defensive line is probably going to be one of the stronger units on this football team, at least that's kind of where it's trending right now, right? You see them in these drills, they look the part, and from everything that I've been hearing, those transfers that they brought in, man, are definitely going to be very, very strong contributors, right? We already know Terrence Green and of course, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Devon Tompkins. I got to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. But Tompkins and Terrence Green have definitely been flashing, right? We're picking up where they left off in the spring. But don't be surprised about Kendrick Bingley-Jones also, man. He's definitely been making some noise as well. And when you just look at those three individuals just right there, Chase, we're not even talking about some of the young guys that we've seen get snaps like last season. You still got London Simmons, who looks really good, coming off a little spring injury / operation, right? He's looking good. You got Jeremiah Beeman back. Guys that are a little bit more like those, I guess, project types like Steve Boomwa, right? I mean, you see the potential. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, Chase, before it felt like we were doing a lot of talking like, well, this guy could, or this guy. Now, training camp is here, and we've got 5 practices to really look at. These guys are really, consistently showing up. And to me, I think it's starting to take shape. This defensive line is not just kind of like, hey, I think we can. I think they're starting to prove that we can start expecting them to be a very solid unit. Now, again, what that entails, we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, pass rush is one thing that I think needs to improve. How good can they be in that department, right? To me, I'm really more focused on how physical can they be? How consistent can they be stopping the run? Speaking of physicality, Caleb, why am I so bad with names this morning? Caleb Woodson. Caleb Woodson, man, at that linebacker spot continues to impress, right? I mean, the guy is 6'3", 240 pounds, can run like a deer. I'll be honest, Chase, I mean, these portal additions, man, and I'll be the first one to tell you, like watching some of their tape when they first were in the portal and we were, making the headlines about, oh, we just signed this guy. And I just immediately go to the tape and I watch several games. These guys, I feel like, are exceeding my expectations, which, number one, credit to the staff, right, in their evals. But two, also, even with their, I guess, price, development, I know it's still very early and we don't have a definitive yet. Like, we can't really make a true, I guess we can't really make a true, I don't know, deciding factor on how these guys end up turning out, because we've got to play football, right? At the end of the day, we haven't played. But where things are, chased through 5 days, there are a lot of encouraging signs from a lot of these guys that transfer. And that's the best way to put it. I always have to, if my dad was here, he'd be the first one to jump me and tell me I'm chapsticking. So I got to remember, sometimes I got to wait. All right, we're trending in the right direction. It's still very soon. I don't want to say all this and then the season comes and then you start to see some inconsistencies. It's like, hey, Christian, you said where things stand right now and kind of what we're seeing, the flashes, you see the potential. Ultimately, they got to do it on game day, and they got to do it consistently. It can't just be one game or one moment, because last year they did a lot of, even the offense, Chase, think about it. First half of the season, they played some good football. There is a point during the season we talked about that offense being one of the best offenses in the country, even though they couldn't run the ball great. but they were finding ways to be efficient through the air, through the passing game, through extensions of it. I don't know if you remember this. We were one of the best teams in terms of managing the football, right? Time of possession, even though we sucked at running the football, which is unheard of, right? So we had moments, but it's the consistency that needs to improve, and we'll have to see. But anyway, those are some little nuggets that I had just kind of through 5 days, just kind of where things stand. D-line, looking good. Those transfers that we brought in definitely going to make an impact. Linebackers, in terms of Caleb Woodson, definitely, setting the tone early in training camp. Metz and QB Reese, I would say, those are the two main guys that I would expect to be competing to the lineup next to Woodson. Again, not really a big change from spring. I know some people mentioned like C.J. Jones maybe, but we've been saying on the show, I think, QB Reese / Metz, those are the guys to really pay attention to. Sounds like that's still kind of where things are currently in terms of the linebacker position. Secondary, you kind of know what you're getting, but I think Carmelo O'Neal and Ivan Taylor are two names to keep an eye out for guys that, whether they're starters and sub packages or whatever the case may be, because you kind of got your predetermined at least 4/5 if with Red Morgan that you expect in terms of the secondary. But best believe, I think Ivan Taylor is going to have an expanded role. He's just been very impressive, and of course Carmelo O'Neal, a transfer from Mercer, they're really high on him, right? So sub packages, dime. We already know they're willing to rotate guys. So whether these guys are starters or not, that is something that we can see. We saw that through the past 2 years so far, especially on defense, something that you don't see all the time. But if they feel like you can play and contribute and you can get fresh body in there that gives you, some fresh legs, you'll probably see some more of that. And the way it's kind of lining up with the depth and the talent that we have in the secondary, I wouldn't be shocked if we see some of that rotating a little bit as well. Kind of like we saw, at least like the first year, I remember they did it a lot to the point where I was like, why are we rotating our secondary like this? But that was something they did. And, hey, maybe that helps with the retention of players too. I mean, you're getting guys so much burn, probably makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. All right. We got to hit a timeout. I could ramble even more, but we need to hit a timeout because we got to hit the phone lines. We got some media clips that we got to play. And, of course, we'll have Jimmy Stein joining us at 12:30 right here on this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 12:30. WTBC, quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. More Alabama football fall camp.
Trusted by clients like Royal Cup Coffee and Tea, proud supporters of Crimson Tide, the Boss Company, one partner for everything your business needs.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy.
With Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit Lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Proud partner.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. Blake Topmeyer swings by from USA Today. We'll continue our camp coverage around the University of Alabama. Another practice day. Line Grub Talks. We listen starting at 2 p.m. on The Game on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. The high today headed to 95 degrees. Guess what? It's going to feel even hotter. That heat index around 106, though, factor humidity. With a light breeze out of the south, and as temperatures heat up, there may be a few scattered thunderstorms developing. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun. Any rain that does move in today will taper off through the evening, with an overnight low dropping to 76 after some early sun till tomorrow. Some afternoon storms may pop up with a high of 94, and hot and humid Wednesday with afternoon storms at a high in the mid-90s. This is meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 88 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your front row seat to all things Alabama. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got the Pastor Payne hanging out with us now as we break down fall camp. We're 1 week in. Week 2 has officially begun. Practice number 5 in the books. We got offensive interviews coming up here shortly. We got Jimmy Stein joining us at 1230. Football is back, and we are off and running, man. I love it and every bit of it, man. All right, that said, we need to get to the phone lines because I know we got Smitty on there. We got the Pastor Payne hanging out. So I'll let both of you guys chat together. That way we can try to do everything all together. 205-342-9904. Dan, I see that super chat. I promise I'm going to get to it. Give me 2 seconds. First, let me welcome Smitty in on the phone line. Smitty, welcome in.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Man, it's going good.
Smitty.
How's everything?
Man, well, I went to the baseball game yesterday and my Dodgers lost again. But other than that, it's been a great weekend.
Put money on the game, Smitty?
Nah, I just go to the game, man. I don't do baseball. I'm no Brandon Swordsby here.
Okay.
You know.
I just had to ask. I know sometimes you mention some numbers and then
go Bronx Bombers, baby. Go Bronx Bombers. That's all I can tell you.
Holler at me in late August, week 1. I'll be back. But here's the thing, right? I think what happens, like y'all talk about quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. The reason, like last week, I asked about Austin Mack being under pressure, kind of like Jalen Hurts and Tua. I remember Nick Saban criticizing Hurts for not letting it rip because of Tua being looking over his shoulder. And I think sometimes if you got this young guy who's great talent behind you, you may be scared to put the ball at risk. Not saying like being irresponsible, but letting it rip. And that can hurt the offense as well. And I just don't want this kid going out thinking if he's a starter that he's scared of making a mistake. Because, you know, Captain Checkdown not going to win you anything either.
Captain Checkdown. Well, but Captain Checkdown is okay because if you got a quarterback that understands, you know, nothing's open, you know, there was a saying, Smitty, that Charlie Checkdown is what we call him. Charlie Checkdown becomes your best friend. I mean, dump it to the back, you know, get out your hands and let him do what he can do. If he gets 3-4 yards, that's the win on that down. So now you can't lean on that, obviously, all the time, and that's all you got. I hear what you're saying there. But if a quarterback understands, instead of forcing the football and you know, Charlie Checkdown, and we've seen that too many times, Charlie Checkdown has been available, but they try to force balls on a big route or deep route. It gets picked off, you know what I mean, or tipped and picked off. So I don't mind playing safe that way because to me that's smart football. But if that's all you got, on the flip side of that, I hear what you're saying, you know, then that's a problem.
Well, I'll add this. I think it depends a lot on kind of your team, right? Specifically, that could play a little bit of a factor here. But Coach Saban always said this, you know, take what the defense gives you, right? So, I mean, if the defense is giving you those checkdowns, man, I mean, that's the way to go, right? That's smart football. And if you have a good defense on the other side, right, and they're getting the ball back to you and you have a good running game, I'll be honest with you, Smitty, I think that's okay. But with this offense, I don't know if you want just a whole bunch of checkdowns like that. Now, I mean, if the defense is giving you that, that's one thing. But, you know, until we prove that we can run the football more effectively, I mean, that's a little bit different situation. So I feel like depending on your team and kind of how you're built, what you're good at, that can play a little bit of a factor as well. But, I mean, listen, I think you're in good hands either way it goes, man. I mean, both these guys through 5 games have been very impressive, right? Like, and I think there's confidence in both players. I think people were kind of overlooking in that clip of everybody. Not everybody, like 8 to 10 guys rushing Keelan Russell on media day to take a picture with them. I mean, of course, they like the guy, but also notice most of those guys in that clip were also young. So they probably are a little bit closer to him because he's around their age, their class. So I wouldn't read too much into that piece. But from everything I've heard, man, everybody said that both quarterbacks are playing some really good football. Both are getting looks, right? This is very much an ongoing battle.
Yeah, and I'll say this also. When you talked about who you go with, because if you start Keelan Russell, you can't go back. It's like a rookie quarterback in the NFL. Once you go with him, you got to roll with him. But one thing I bring up is I got to give Taylor Boyd credit on one thing. There's a lot because good coaches, they do a lot of self-reflective, self-scouting, the old why do we win, why do we lose mentality. We got some new coaches in here. It seems like they're a little tougher and everything, and better. You talk about Clem being a teacher. You know, the tight end coach, I forgot his name. Chris Owens, that's his name. I think that's his name. I forgot. Richard Owens, yeah. I don't think about the old offensive lineman. You know, but he's a guy that's been, because y'all know a lot of offensive linemen start off as tight ends anyway. And so you got another guy there. But also, people like laughing at Jared Johnson with the pass off. I actually like that, you know.
Who is laughing at? Only people laughing
I've seen some on Twitter, folks making jokes.
Well, I was going to say, and most of them probably other schools. I'm telling you right now, like from a former player, that was one of the, that's probably been one of my favorite things I've seen this fall camp, is the fact that they've got a 12-year NFL vet that knows how it's supposed to be done, what it looks like, and what it takes. And he's out there live in action. He's strapped up with the pad suit, and they can actually work right in their hands. It's not as pass rush, even in the run game, right? There's different numbers and you know, spots that you can strike with the, you know, like the pecs and the shoulder, and you can really work on true things that translate to the football. Sometimes when you work, like I saw Auburn working a drill with their offensive linemen, the sled was, I'm talking about like so low, and the way it was leaning, they kept saying, oh, you got to punch, you got to strike. Your helmet's automatically making contact first, so you can't even really get it. Like, to me, I'm like, man, like, I get they're working on pad level and playing with leverage, but I'm like, you're not even able to really realistically strike. Him wearing that padded suit, that is an actual individual. It's like a moving sled now with all those pads. You can use it for pass rush, setting the edge, working different techniques, your hand placement. I love every bit of that, and it's those types of intentional, I guess, you know, techniques that they're doing that I'm seeing that I feel like are going to make big differences. Because there's so many times I see coaches working drill, Smitty, at practice, whether it's in college or the NFL, and I'm like, they're just occupying time during indie drill. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. Show me a drill that can truly apply and translate to what these guys are going to be doing on a down-to-down basis. And I feel like I've seen a little bit more out of that, and I love that from Jared Johnson.
Well, they need to do that because one of the worst things they do is pass rush. Or lack thereof, I should say. So, you know, if you got a guy that's able to teach, and I know pass rushing it's an art. There's an art to pass rushing. You know, and a lot of these guys coming out of high school, they're bigger, faster, stronger. They're playing against 200-pound tackles and guys or fat guys that can't move. You know, they just running around them, don't have to work hands, don't have to work, you know, alternate moves or combo. You know, they don't have to do that. And then when you get to big-time college football, you know, you're going to have guys that you're going to have to beat, 330-pound guys that are 6'6" and long. You know, you're going to have to have counter moves. You're going to have to know how to dip and rip, you know, squat that butt down, spin, and elbow and spin back inside. You know, but if you got somebody, here's one of my biggest things. I know we're up against the break right here, Chase. Guys are not teaching. There's a lot of coaches that don't understand. They understand football to a degree from X to the O's, but when it comes down positional drill work and really helping players get that edge, to me, well, that's where you get, when you got a former player helps, you know, because you're able to teach them things that a lot of these coaches don't know. Like when I said, when I was talking on the Alabama game last year, just telling one guy one little thing, and he goes out to the next series and he gets a sack. Because it's just, you can see and you understand. You've been against the best in America, in the world. And so you're able to tell these guys things that they don't know. And I think that's great to have a guy. He even got the stuff on that now you can say, hey, man, this guy sits hard inside, work the edge hard, you know, slap rip, dip, and rip. Or what if he gets back to that point? You know your levels. You get to the level of that quarterback. You got to work back inside, spin or power. I think that's awesome teaching, and it's definitely going to help these guys become better pass rushers.
And real quick, and that's why I was so high on Clem and Coach Owens when we hired those guys, right? Again, it's not me being biased because I'm a former player and those guys are former players, but I just know when it comes to teaching, when it comes to doing indie drills and really install, right, things that we know, right, all these key fundamentals, these guys have lived it. They have done it at the highest level, both of those coaches respectively. Then you add, Jared Johnson, who's an analyst out there. That's why I felt so strongly about Clem and Coach Owens and kind of the impact they would have just in that aspect alone, knowing how beneficial and valuable it would be. And I feel like we're already seeing some of those things pay off. We're already seeing some small dividends. Again, there's still a lot of work to be done. Not saying things are perfectly fixed or it's just all a complete 180 yet. But there are so many reasons to be encouraged and have a positive outlook on where things can go under these new coaches that we have brought on staff. Smitty, you got some? I mean, if you got a few minutes, I can hold you during this break and let you come back out.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I got a few minutes.
Let's hit this top hour break. When we come back, we'll let Smitty ask a couple more questions, then we'll keep on rolling right here on this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Steve DeSager.
The Padres won the Sunday night ball game at home, beating Houston 7-2. Fernando Tatis Jr., a 3-run homer. The Padres just one game out of the last NL wildcard spot behind Philadelphia and Arizona. Arizona beat the Dodgers again 4-2. LA has lost 8 of 9. Philadelphia came back for a 12-inning win against Toronto 7-6. Kyle Schwarber hit 2 home runs. He has 35. Baltimore got 2 homers from Pete Alonso and won at Texas 10-5. Tampa Bay won its 6th game in a row, 4-1 at Seattle. The A's won at Boston again 4-3. Atlanta edged the Yankees in 10 innings 2-1. Milwaukee with the best record in the majors, 74-44, won in 10 innings against Minnesota 4-3. Wins for the Cubs and the White Sox. Basketball Hall of Famer Don Nelson died at the age of 86. NASCAR win for Ty Gibbs. Alex Palou, the IndyCar winner.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education, and Advocacy. Proud partner.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. Blake Topmeyer swings by from USA Today. We'll continue our camp coverage around the University of Alabama. Another practice day. Line Grub Talks. We listen starting at 2 p.m. on The Game on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
And knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
Into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got to roll pretty quick here. Smitty, I want to give you a few minutes real quick to see if you got one more question or so, because I talked pretty much the whole time you were on here. I'll give you that opportunity real quick, brother.
Thanks. And one quick thing I want to bring up. Miami hired a year or two ago Jason Taylor. Yeah, that Hall of Fame Jason Taylor to be their defensive line coach. And one thing that I got to admit, your dad was right. He was right about Coach Cap. And I had to say it to his face. But the thing is, though, folks got to remember also, the board had to hire that man in a pinch because his O-line coach went with Brugg. So sometimes in a pinch, you got to make do. But the thing is, I give them credit on, they did that self-reflect. Hey, this guy ain't cutting the mustard. He's not teaching our guys. We got to bring in a guy as a teacher. Same with Owen. But I'll say this, I know you got to run. Danny Lewis being healthy, I've been on, you know me for long, I've been big on him being healthy and coming back because of his run blocking. And the one game he was somewhat healthy for was that Georgia game, and after they ran okay in that game. And I think that is something that people miss, like the rash of injuries on that part right there. And I think a healthy Danny Lewis would go. And I'll say this real quick and I'll run. Thanks for taking my call. Pastor, I told Christian a couple weeks ago that I had to visit my sister, my nephews in Atlanta. My nephews are fish taco boys. So I had to make them some red beans and rice, some real cornbread for them. And they tore that up. Got to make some man out of them, you know.
Yes, sir. Get rid of them fish tacos, man. They are good, though. I ain't going to lie. Fish tacos.
Yeah. Fish tacos.
They ain't good, brother.
They're healthy.
All right, bro. Bless you, Smitty.
Appreciate you.
Man.
You guys have a good one.
Don't worry. All right, bro. I'm not playing no more. I'm good.
About what?
I ain't ate nothing. I go 18 hours intermittent fasting every single day. I go 18 hours, don't even eat.
Okay, but when you do,
let's talk about something about
No. I'm saying you need to eat some fish tacos. It'd probably be good. It's healthy.
You
man.
don't know what I eat. You know what I eat.
You sit and eat on here half the time, so we all know what you eat. Not just me. The whole stream knows what you eat.
I bust grapes. So you one of them little run around, don't want to get touched right here. I bust grapes. I'll run through you. I run through you like milk toast. You hear me? That's what I do.
All right.
Chase, you hear me, Chase?
I got a clip I'll show you. We'll see who busts grapes.
Talking about I eat fish tacos.
You do? Or no, you don't? I'm
almost 60 years old. Bring it on.
205. Oh, my. Okay. Maybe work on your mic because you're about to blow the speakers. 205-342-9904. Is Jarvis still there, Chase? He might have dropped. I'm not sure. Jarvis, you with us? Going once, twice, and sold to the next caller, 205-342-9904. All right. I think we're freed up right here, so we're good. We hit on our nuggets. I know we got some clips that I wanted to get to in a second. We got Jimmy Stein joining us at 12:30 via the streams, which would be cool, man. So we're rolling. We got a whole bunch playing.
Oh, Jimmy Stein.
Jimmy.
What's that? I don't know who he is.
Jimmy Stein, he's covered Alabama football for a really long time. He'll be joining us at 12:30. Does a lot of media work with Alabama football, so we're looking forward to that. Any thoughts that you want to bring up? I know you've been busy. I don't know if you've even been able to keep up with fall camp or anything you want to ask.
Yeah,
I'm talking to you real quick. I'm saying, go ahead. I mean, anything that you want to mention. I know we talked about the quarterback battle already with Smitty, but I want to give you an opportunity.
I think one of the chat even said this. The bottom line, if you came on the board, like for me right now, it's early. 2 weeks down the road, we're going to start seeing after a scrimmage or so. It normally separates, right? Players will separate. Those position battles will separate. During drill work, pre-practice, we used to call it. Where the media can come out and they ain't gonna do too much. Just give you a little bit of video for your podcast or whatever you're doing. But for me, it's two things. Now three things really. But how good would they be in the trenches? What are they doing to be better from a physical standpoint, from an offensive line standpoint, where they can run the ball, catch this word, effectively? That they can be more consistent in running the football when they're not getting these young quarterbacks in situations where it's third and long, when you got an offensive line that's not proven, when you got quarterbacks who have not been proven yet, putting them into these kind of lose situations. What are they doing better there? Number two, and that the offensive line goes in hand to hand. Now, number two is the defensive line with the edge guys go hand in hand for me. Will they be able to stop the run? Will they be able to play? We talked about this before. Play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Penetration, getting in the backfield of the offense, tackle for losses, getting the other team in negative situations on second and third down where they can rush the quarterback. And when they have that opportunity to rush the quarterback, my question is totally this. Who's going to be that guy? If I'm over there coaching right now, I'm looking to tell them who's going to be the guy, okay? Who's going to be the guy when we get them in the third and long that they're going to give that quarterback Hades, right? They're going to give that tackle Hades. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to separate? Who's going to be the guy that I can count on to make plays and rushing the pass? If Alabama can do those things and get better and be more efficient and more effective in those two areas, I think they're going to be pretty good. Now, if they are also those quarterbacks, because they are highly rated, highly talented. Forget the rating. They're both highly talented guys. You can just see they're tall, they're long, they got rocket arms, they can run, they can extend plays, they can improvise, they can do all of those things. So they got the talent. But if you can't protect, if they're getting consistent pressure, those guys are going to make mistakes. They're going to force throws, errant passes. They're going to try to run, make something out of nothing. The ball's going to be on the ground. Then this team is in trouble. So for me, now wrap this in the bow real quick. It's all about the trenches. New offensive line coach. What are we going to see? Because if they don't get better there, they're going to have an extremely long season. And they got running backs, they got receivers, they got DBs, they got skilled players. We know that. But the place where they have dominated for a century and a half, for a decade and a half with Nick Saban, and what separated them was their play in the trenches. They can run the ball when they wanted to run the ball. They can close out games in the fourth quarter, right? If they had guys that can get after the quarterback. They made the transition there with Nick Saban, bringing guys like yourself and all these, Anthony and all these other guys that they brought in through the years. They knew they had to be able to rush the passer. They got longer, they got faster, they got more athletic on the outside, and then boom, there's been a collapse in the last 2 years. Excuse me, maybe I would say 3 years.
I was about to say, say for a few years.
Yeah,
probably.
Even though Nick Saban last year wasn't good at all either, but they did have, what is that, Minnesota? They had a couple guys still that,
they had guys, but collectively, no, that was the weird thing, man. Right. Even on the offensive line, you had J.C. Latham, who was a tank, right? First round right tackle, first round guard, and Tyler Booker. But it was just collectively, those
they had one guy here and there, but they didn't, as a unit, that cohesiveness has not been there. And then over the last 5 years, right? Yeah, we'll go Cinco, since you like talking Spanish.
Speaking of that, I think I'm scheduled to do a Spanish interview here soon, which will be really fun. I'll keep you guys updated on that. I will mention this since you're talking about the trench play. You said they've got backs, they got receivers. Sounds like you're confident in those skill groups. Of course, we already know the secondary. We can check that box. So to me, it sounds like you're confident because remember last season, the running backs, they played a role in the shortcomings in the running game as well, right? Of course, it's hard to work when you don't have it going on the way it's supposed to in front of you. But I felt we lacked that explosiveness, somebody that could create, had the ability to make things when things weren't really there, right? There are backs out there that can do that. Go look at Lacey at Ole Miss, right? Go look at a number of these guys, right? They can find a way to get a few extra yards. They can pop an explosive even when, things might not necessarily be lined up right there. They got the vision. They got a cutback lane that they find. Sounds like you're a little bit more confident in that. And I would agree because I'll be honest, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Daniel Hill, he's had a little bit of an offseason transformation. He looks a lot better, I would say, right now than he did a season ago. AKD, a guy that was, highly touted coming out of high school. He wasn't ready last year, but he's made some really nice strides this offseason. And right now he's been having a solid camp. But then if you remember back in spring, you got to see a little glimpse of the two freshman running backs that we have in Crowell and Brown, right? They're both young guys, but I'll be honest, they might have some of the most, encouraging outlook moving forward, right, in that running back room, just from what they've shown in such a limited amount of time.
And listen, I think they've had that. I mean, they had the running backs, Jam Miller. Jam.
Jam, yes.
I mean, come on.
Jam was their best all-around running back they had. People kind of piled up on him. The dude was battling injuries. He was the closest thing to kind of what we're describing. He could block. He could create a little bit. He had a little bit of twitch and explosiveness to him. Maybe not, like some other guys, but outside of him, though, I mean, it really was Daniel Hill, who, just last year, I don't think he played behind his pads enough. And clearly when you're that big, you're not going to have that explosiveness like you would out of other guys. I liked what I saw out of Kevin Riley. He had flashes, but again, it's just the consistency wasn't there. But I agree with him, though. I'm confident with the guys that you have in that room. I think they're good enough for what you need to get done, without a doubt. It's just a matter of them being able to just kind of take that next step. I mean, you clearly have opportunities available. There's a bunch of guys in that room competing, but somebody asked this last week. I would say the running back competition is almost wide open, right? Whoever can make an impact. I don't think it really matters who you are. If you can make a difference, you're going to get some action, and I think we'll see that. In terms of wide receivers, I don't have an update on Lancia Brooks, but we have Jimmy Stein joining us at 12:30. Maybe he has one for us, and we'll ask him when we get there. But first, we got to hit a timeout. We'll come back. We'll keep talking fall camp. We got plenty to discuss here. Again, we got media coming up, so maybe we can try to squeeze in a clip or so and roll from there right here on this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.
Dodge Ram, Tuscaloosa's destination for iconic Jeeps. Drive a new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4, priced at $54,529.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393-9.
computercareer.edu/CWP to jumpstart your IT career today. An elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding Construction. Located in the heart of Tuscaloosa, Brian Harding Construction is woman-owned and strong as steel. A specialty manufacturing firm with expertise in structural steel fabrication, ASME code piping and vessels, CNC machine work, welding, laser cutting, pipe fitting, industrial maintenance, and crane rentals. With a proven track record of over 30-plus years of experience, no one is better fit for the job. For an evaluation...
It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. Go to mylocalcustomers.com today.
That's mylocalcustomers.com. Mylocalcustomers.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. The high today headed to 95 degrees. Guess what? It's going to feel even hotter. That heat index around 106. 106, though, and you factor in humidity with a light breeze out of the south. And as temperatures heat up, there may be a few scattered thunderstorms developing. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun. Any rain that does move in today will taper off through the evening with an overnight low dropping to 76. After some early sun tomorrow, some afternoon storms may pop up with a high of 94, and hot and humid Wednesday with afternoon storms at a high in the mid-90s. This is meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 91 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
From kickoff to the final whistle, we've got you covered. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
To the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, we're breaking down fall camp here in Alabama. 5 practices in. Offense is speaking to the media. I'm sure we got some of those pulled up, but we got Jimmy Stein coming up here in a few minutes. So, I mean, kind of pushing it a little close. I can check and see if we got one that's maybe a few minutes that we could start. But really, I feel like we've hit on, Ryan Grubb's already up. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's go ahead and listen to it. It's 8 minutes, so we'll listen to as much as we can, and then we'll go from there. So let's go and dive straight into Ryan Grubb, Alabama offensive coordinator, addressing the media post-practice number 5 today here in Tuscaloosa.
Running backs, how are they progressing now that you're about a week in camp?
I'm glad you asked that today. I thought we had some really, really good runs today. A couple pops on some cutback lanes. If you guys got the shoulder square. Daniel had a nice one. TB had another good one. AK Deer had a touchdown on a rail route. It was a competitive day for the running back. So I felt like it was coming from all different directions. Everybody was showing up and doing a really good job. So I think that the competition, is held strong. Those guys I think that's one of the biggest parts right now is the guys feeling that level of competition in the room.
Can you elaborate on AK? What have you seen from him over the last year that's kind of put him in this position to contribute?
Maturity. And I mean that. I can remember being right out here in fourth quarter with him and just the things that he thought were possible at that time compared to what he thinks possible now is very different. So I think he's a great teammate. He's a guy who can lighten the mood, spark guys a little bit, and that's been something that's been really enjoyable. But also, just being a better football player, like AK understanding protections was one of the issues of getting on the field, and he's come a long ways.
Who is the offense having the hardest time blocking right now?
We got a couple good guys on defense. DT's been phenomenal as a player. He plays out on the edge. He'll play the B gap on you. He's a really tough player. He's super versatile. And then, obviously Yanze, think the world of him. And I thought, just early in camp, I've seen Yanze kind of take it to another level. So he's done a great job. Red Morgan, I think is fantastic off the edge as a nickel. I think he's one of the most slippery guys I've seen out there. And then obviously Hub, when he pressures, is really, really tough to block as well.
What's allowed Racing to sort of translate to the SEC and then to play with his a little bit of lack of size in that position?
Yeah, Racing's bigger than people think. I mean, he operates, over 300 pounds pretty consistently. And, I just always tell him he kind of looks like a retired surfer. He's got a little bit of that going on. So that's not, at first you're kind of looking at him like, how big is this guy? But he's got decent size. He's super athletic, though. And I think that's the part that when he got out there and just played, I realized he had the athleticism and physicality to do this. Especially against our front, I think that gives him the confidence that he knows he can do it.
During the time we were out there, we got to see a little bit of the tight ends going up against the edge guys.
Yeah.
What do you like about the physicality of your tight end group?
Well, I think it starts with how that room has operated, honestly, since the, off season. I would say they might be the closest room on the team. They support each other, they push each other, and so when they don't see it and the bar or the standard isn't reached, they're not scared to challenge each other. I think the drill work that Coach Owens works with those guys is extremely demanding. The run game piece has really come along with those guys, but I think the drill work looks like the team reps, and I think that's where it starts. When you can transition, achieving what you emphasized and showing up on team reps, that's a huge part of it.
I know it's still pretty early, but do you feel like one of the quarterbacks is starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack?
Not yet. No, not yet. They've been doing a good job. It's been an even battle.
How's Coach Ellis been with those guys, and is his approach with quarterbacks had to be maybe a little different than it was with tight ends?
Yeah, obviously Coach Ellis was a really good quarterback himself. Has coached that position before, and so I think that transition honestly was probably easier for him than the transition to coaching tight ends. I think he's a natural quarterback coach. He's got good demeanor. Coach Ellis is one of the best guys that he's a relationship builder. And I think you got to have that in the quarterback room. They got to feel the belief. They got to know that you're knowledgeable and you're going to see instructions and defenses and where to put the ball. But at the end of the day, they need guys that can have their back, and Coach Ellis is outstanding at that.
We won't talk to you until the scrimmage on Thursday. What are you looking from both his quarterbacks to move the needle in that competition on Thursday at the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think the command of, I keep saying command, and I think one of the things that, I've been challenging them just now is command of a practice. I want to know what it feels like when the chips are down a little bit in a practice, or maybe we had a 3-and-out to move the ball. What did they look like? And, how are their teammates responding to them? So certainly you can't just have the rah-rah guy start if you can't throw the freaking ball. But I'm definitely looking for command because they're both capable physically of making all the plays. So now you're starting to look at decision-making, completion percentages, turnovers, explosives, how all those things obviously weigh out. But then also just, does it look like that guy believes, like, I'm going to make this play? And, both those guys are getting better at that every day.
All right, so we're going to pause that there because we got to hit a timeout. When we're coming back, we'll be joined by Jimmy Stein of Locked On Bama, longtime member of the media here in Alabama. So we'll talk with Jimmy about all the latest going on with Alabama's fall camp coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.
Trusted by clients like Royal Cup Coffee and Tea, proud supporters of Crimson Tide, the Boss Company, one partner for everything your business needs.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education, and Advocacy. Proud
from our home base in Birmingham, Alabama. We are here treating patients from every generation across the United States and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors
who are shaping the next
9,000. That's 900,000 for a free consultation. No fees unless we win. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than that of other lawyers.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
From yesterday's legends to tomorrow's stars. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
No one better.
The home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Excited to announce a new guest that's going to be joining us pretty frequently here on the Miller's Edge. None other than long-term media member here in Alabama, Jimmy Stein of Locked On Bama. Of course, see him on Cover Crimson. At least I get to catch up with you and Clint on there a good bit. You guys do an awesome job, whatever platform you guys are on. I know you're on pretty much everything. I saw you on Bama football on YouTube. Now you're on the Miller's Edge. So welcome in, Jimmy. We appreciate you joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Real honor to be here with you two.
Absolutely, man.
You're welcome, Jimmy.
Yeah, always welcome on here, man. As we continue to grow, it's always fun getting to collaborate and get new voices on here. So I'm looking forward to it, man, and having a nice, fun season talking some Alabama football, which we'll start there, Jimmy. Training camp, where we're in the thick of it, man. 5 days already into it. Everybody's burning to know the latest, the intel, kind of what's been going on. I know you got a lot of eyes and ears over there. Would love to kind of just get your overall impressions, Jimmy, of kind of what we've seen so far, been hearing through 5 days of training camp here in Tuscaloosa.
I think, to me, what stands out the most, guys, is the emphasis on physicality. I think pretty much everything they've done since the Indiana game, going all the way back to the aftermath of Indiana, is there's just been an overall emphasis on physicality, especially on offense, but defense too. Defense in the sense that they've gotten so much bigger up front. They're a lot bigger up front than they were a year ago. Kane Womack has talked about how they were one of the smallest defensive fronts in the SEC last year. This year, they're going to be one of the biggest because it was such an emphasis for them. And on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage, they not only go get a new offensive line coach with an extensive NFL background in Adrian Clem, but they go get a tight end coach that was an offensive line coach himself. You know, at Louisville, the very first guy they get out of the transfer portal in the last cycle was a 265-pound tight end. There's a lot of talk about a lot more 12 personnel this fall, so you're kind of replacing a situation last year where you played a lot of 11 personnel with the tight end in Josh Cuevas, who's really a pass receiver first. Now you're going to be replacing him with over 500 pounds of tight end in Caleb Edwards and Josh Ford. So to me, it's just this emphasis on the physicality. Now it's got to pay off in terms of increased production in the run game on offense, doing a little better stopping the run on defense, because unless it pays off in the games, it doesn't really matter that you emphasized it in practice. But to me, that's what stands out to me, guys, about fall camp this year, even to some extent the spring. Just this seems like every decision they make is about trying to be a little more physical on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
No, I agree.
Jimmy,
go ahead.
Okay. Jimmy, I totally agree with you, and I was making that point earlier because you look at this team, right? You look at the history of Kalen DeBoer, coming from the West Coast, Washington, where he had a lot of success in playing football a certain way. One of the things I've always said that coming in the South is a different brand. I joked around, we're not eating fish tacos, we're eating collard greens and cornbread down there, baby. We'll meet the three, And so he came with the fish taco mentality and thought that might work. It worked to a degree, but when you get to the thick of things, when you got to win critical games, right, this is got to happen. You got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to get games in the fourth quarter and get that 4-minute offense on the field and close out games. You have to have a defensive line that can stop the run and get teams in third and long, and then have guys on the outside that can get pressure and cause turnovers, get off the football field. And that has been the thing that's been lacking. And I'm going to say even before Kalen DeBoer, I would say Nick Saban's last season for sure, we starting to see that change a little bit. So my question to you, has that been a result of maybe missing some guys, not getting the top-notch interior guys on both sides of the ball in the trenches, or has it been more maybe the system in Kalen DeBoer, his mindset offensively and defensively?
No, that's a great question, Corey. To me, it's about a little bit more of the scheme. But, for instance, what I want to talk about is like at Washington in 2023, and I think we all know that's the reason that Kalen DeBoer is here. What happened at Washington in 2023, making Kalen DeBoer a national elite, candidate, getting Washington all the way to the national championship game. That offensive line won the Joe Moore Award, and everyone remembers that. So they kind of know, DeBoer and Grubb knows what it looks like to put a quality offensive line out there, but it wasn't necessarily a quality offensive line that just mashed people. That's not what they did. They led the nation in passing yards. They threw it all over the place. But what was interesting is they did have a 1,000-yard back. They did have a 1,000-yard back. They could still run it when they needed to or wanted to. That's what hasn't happened at Alabama yet. It kind of feels like it's been under construction for a while. And again, they're not going to go just to mashing people. They never did that. That's not who Greg Byrne hired. He didn't hire the 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy, or he didn't hire the staff from 1995 Nebraska. You know, I mean, this is they're going to want to throw the ball, but they have to be able to run it when they have to. Last year, they could not. Now it's about, okay, we need to pick up these yards on the ground. It's 3rd and 2. Last year, it seemed like guys, when it was 3rd and 2 and we needed to pick it up on the ground, they had to put Jeremy Bernard in the backfield. They had to run a reverse. They had to do it with misdirection. That's just not going to work long-term in this league. Like Corey's talking about, it's not going to work forever unless you're a little more physical at the point of attack. But it's never going to look like 5 maulers up front and leading the league in rushing. I don't think that's who DeBoer and Grubb are, but they also don't have to be. They just have to be more efficient with it than they were a year ago.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And to your point, back to even talking about the tight end room, Jimmy, and the offensive line, one thing I was going to say is Danny Lewis. We've heard him mentioned a number of times now from various coaches, and having him back healthy, I think, is really important. You add him in that fold just with that physicality. We just heard from Ryan Grubb, at least half of his interview from today following practice. He talked about the running game, and they had some explosive runs today. And you talked about just like the coaching changes. You know, I felt strongly about it. I reached out to certain guys that had connections with Clem. J.C. Hassenauer, my former teammate, we were in the same class. He played for him with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything that he told me about Clem is what we're seeing and hearing right now. And that's why I felt that it was such a good hire. In the sense, again, we got to see it come to, you know, it's got to come to fruition. We got to see it on the field. But in terms of having a young offensive line that needs development, needs teaching, I felt, you know, you had mentioned just something like with the system. And so I feel like we have not had great coaching with the offensive line room in a couple of years. Just being honest with you, I don't think the development aspect has been great. And I don't think we had the best, I guess, really recruitment of some of these guys like we had prior years. For whatever reason, it seemed like we just hadn't really hit on those players in the trenches nearly as much. But something this year feels a little bit different, whether it's already Clem and Coach Owens leaving their mark. Like you mentioned, physicality being a point of emphasis. I think that's huge and definitely necessary. But I just, even Jared Johnson, like we were talking earlier about him working out with the pads, and people were like, you know, chuckling about it. But I'm saying, like, from a former player perspective, that's something that they desperately needed. And Ryan Grubb hit on literally what we just were talking about having these drills. He's talking about Coach Owens, and having those things apply and translate to what they're doing when it comes to 9-on-7, 11-on-11, where it really needs to matter. And to me, all the signs right now are pointing in the direction that they found some pieces for their staff that was desperately needed, and I think can ultimately end up having a really positive impact. To be determined, it's still way too soon, but I think they're trending in that right direction. We're joined by Jimmy Stein of Locked On Bama, and also cover Crimson, I believe, as well. You can catch him pretty much all over the place covering Alabama football. Jimmy, I want to ask you about those running backs since we're talking about the offense. A lot of the same guys from last season, you know, they played a role in some of the shortcomings in the running game. You know, the vision, just the lack of explosiveness, didn't really, you know, create enough like they probably could have or should have. But they've been joined by 2 really talented young freshmen as well. I expect Daniel Hill, with the transformation he's had, to make another, you know, step. I think A.K. Deere, we heard Ryan Grubb talk about how much more comfortable he is. What are your expectations for that running back room? We know that, you know, they're working on the offensive line, but for those guys specifically, do you think the pieces are there to have that effective running game that you mentioned?
Yeah, you know, last year it just wasn't good enough, but there were also a lot of injury problems back there. Daniel Hill was banged up in fall camp. I'm not sure he ever really was absolutely 100% at any point. Jam Miller was the primary back. He got hurt 3 different times, including a concussion. And if you watch Jam's numbers, they were pretty good. Then he gets the concussion. They were really never again good after that point. Then Kevin Riley gets his turn. He breaks his jaw. A.K. Deere was a true freshman. Hey, sometimes at that position, true freshmen are ready. Sometimes they're not. It does appear that A.K. Deere is having a nice fall camp this time around. Maybe last year it was just too much too soon. But the room just wasn't good enough last year. But I do think injuries had a lot to do with that. Right now, they're all healthy. Daniel Hill's lost the weight. I think in terms of what I would have asked, and obviously Coach Gillespie did this at running back, Coach G, is Daniel Hill needed to get quicker. To me, he's just sort of lacked some burst. And obviously being a 230-pound guy, there's only so much burst you can have. But Daniel Hill kind of a little slow out of the block maybe. So he's cut some weight, gained some quickness, exactly what he needed. Kevin Riley needed to add that weight. It's almost like, hey, if we could have taken it from Daniel Hill and given some to Kevin, that would have worked out really well. And that's kind of what they've done here. Riley, a little bigger and stronger. He's got to run through contact a little better than he did a year ago, but that's normal for a young back, just normal development. What's exciting to me about the room, guys, is A.K. Deere being in year 2 and probably being more ready than he was directly out of Quitman High School in Mississippi. And E.J. Crowell. Now, he's a true freshman, but he's a pretty advanced guy. I've been watching him since he was in the 10th grade at Jackson High School in Alabama. This has been a physical back. He's a check every box guy. He can make yards between the tackles. He can bounce it outside. He can catch the ball. He's not built like a normal 18-year-old freshman back. I know he's a reclassification guy. You know, he skipped his senior year, but he had also skipped a grade when he was younger. So he's actually the correct age for a true freshman. I think that makes a big difference because some of these reclass guys are actually really young, like Ryan Williams was, and now Austin Mack reclassified. He's a young guy. But E.J. Crowell is 18, soon to be 19. He seems physically ready. There's still the mental part of it. You know, I'm sure they didn't ask him to pick up a lot of blitzes. He didn't have Christian Miller coming off the edge when he was at Jackson High School. I think picking up the blitz and catching the ball, all the little things. Probably in high school, he's mostly just, you know, hey, pitch the ball and run to the end zone, and no one could tackle him at that level. But now it's about learning the little things. A little too much maybe for A.K. Deere a year ago. We'll see if it's too much too soon for E.J., but I don't think so, guys. It's a prediction or a projection, but I think E.J. Crowell is going to have a big year.
Jimmy Stein, our guest here on the Miller's Edge. Jimmy, let's flip the script. You know, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. I love, hitting quarterbacks and big tackles in the backfield, smashing folk. Let's talk about this, this Womack defense. I've kind of been up and down on him, to be honest with you. I just felt like our pass rush was lacking a great deal. I know in the back end, I think a lot of people have more confidence in the back end, veteran guys back there, cornerback, safeties, those positions. But again, they haven't had a guy. You mentioned Christian. You mentioned, guys that get up the quarterback long range. You can say, hey, we're going to put you in one-on-one situation, go get the quarterback. They haven't had that guy. And I think two of the best guys that they had up front transferred, or Ohio State, I believe. So who's going to be the guy? And I was saying earlier, who's going to be that guy that says, let me do my thing. Give it to me, coach. I'm going to get us off. Who is that guy?
I think it's going to be Yanze Pierre. I mean, he's their best natural pass rusher playing that wolf spot. He replaced Quay Russaw after Russaw was hurt last year, and he wasn't really giving that spot back to him after, Russaw got healthy later in the year. Yanze didn't want to give that spot back, and I think he's Alabama's best pass rusher. But here's the thing. I think Yanze can have a big year, and I think he could even – last year I think 8 sacks and didn't start until game 5. Now starting a whole year and being a year older, I even think he might even be able to give you that double-digit sack type season. He's that kind of talent. He's also developed into an every down linebacker, not just a third down guy. He can hold up and set the edge on first and second down against the run. But I think, Corey, to your point, and this is big, they got to find another guy. I mean, if you just have one guy that's good at getting to the quarterbacks, you can be schemed up. If you just got one and the offense can put a tight end over there, chip him with the back, you really need a guy on the other side. I think that's a real challenge here for Kane Womack in fall camp is who are you putting on the other side? Is it going to be Justin Hill coming into year 2? They got a transfer from South Carolina, Desmond Umazulu. Maybe he's a guy. Devin Tompkins is going to play strong side defensive end that they call Bandit. They're going to bring him in, but he's over 300 pounds. It'd be kind of crazy if he's, an 8-9 sack guy at 300 pounds. But he was bought in just to get bigger up front. in terms of dealing with the run. But finding a second pass rusher is huge. I do think Jan Pierre can be Alabama's best pass rusher in terms of racking up a sack total, maybe since Will Anderson and Dallas Turner were here. Frankly, I don't think we've really had a 10-sack guy since then.
Well,
you mentioned 300 guy real quick. I just want to say this, not set up, Christian. They got to get interior guys, although they may not get the numbers. But if your interior guys are not pushing that pocket, collapsing that pocket, where those outside guys now can make big plays, that's a problem. So you mentioned that 300-pound guy. I think they need to be quicker and bigger inside. Those quick swim moves, those quick rip moves that they can really push that pocket to force that quarterback out. And now those outside guys can get sacked. So I think it's very imperative that they find some guys inside. Though the sack numbers may not be high, but can push the pocket and make sure those guys get flushed out of that pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why you need to do your homework, man. Hopefully you meant what Jimmy was answering, the second guy, because clearly Jan Pierre is the guy. I mean, he had 8.5 sacks last year, and the guy, this guy here, man. Jimmy, yes, you're right. Is the second guy. I think that's what
I know that, but the second guy. But I'm saying the interior guys are important as well. I mean,
I'll explain this to you too. That's why Jimmy brought up Devin Tompkins, because he fits exactly what you're saying. He plays bandit, but also tackle, right? And realistically, in sub packages, he's going to kick down, and he's going to be playing in that 4-eye, 3 technique, and he's going to be able to rush from the interior. And he is literally got the mass and athleticism to be a problem across the defensive line, especially in those pass rushing situations. So I'll be honest.
To Corey's point, they're longer inside. They're longer inside. They should be a better pass rush group inside because Tim Keenan was a physical presence and a leader, and I like him, and that's why he's a Los Angeles Ram. He's a plugger, but Tim wasn't going to get after the quarterback. He's only 6'1", 6'2", but they bought in a 6'5" guy from Oregon, Kedrick Bingley-Jones in year 6 from Mississippi State. London Simmons, not super long, but he's around 6'3". Steve Boomwa. I think they've got increased athleticism in the interior and some length. They should be able to push the pocket a little better than they could a year ago.
I agree 100% with you, Jimmy. Those guys on the interior, I think, have that type of disrupt ability, or the potential at least to do so. And that is going to help the guys on the outside. But to his point, like you mentioned, I think the guy opposite of Jan Pierre is going to be critical, right? Because like you mentioned, chip protection, right? Just starting to kind of, slide over there. You can disrupt the pass rush. We all know that. But I really think Justin Hill is going to come along. And they brought Zulu in. I think he's only got around 2 sacks in his career, so I don't expect him to be, an 8-sack guy. But I think he can give you some reps there. But Justin Hill, to me, I just looking at him, I think don't let the Gamecock come to Alabama. Y'all ain't gonna shut me up. I'm just saying. For the Gamecocks, I think he's got some more meat you can get off the bone there. But we'll have to see. But I like Justin Hill on that one. Jimmy, I know we're running against the clock, and I know you've been gracious with your time. I got one more question for you before you let you go. Just a broad one. Any general, nuggets or intel things that you're hearing just from fall camp, maybe that you want to drop here, or maybe somebody that's kind of been stepping up? I know you mentioned the quarterback battle kind of right now is really close. So any more nuggets on that, or just something that you want to leave the listeners with before you go, since we're 5 days through camp so far?
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks, to me, it's interesting. We all talk to people who are close to the program, and, a couple of good sources, guys that anyone would say, well, that guy knows what he's talking about. A couple of good sources tell me, hey, Austin Mack might be a little ahead. And then another couple of good sources, you'd say, hey, equally good. They know what's going on out there. Say, well, Keelan's a little bit ahead. So that to me is fascinating. To me, this is how I interpret that when I've got dueling sources that are kind of they don't know who the quarterback. I think the scrimmage starting Thursday, the scrimmage is where they're going to work this out. You can be a little better than the other guy in some drills and what they're doing in the various periods of practice, but the scrimmage in the stadium, which is the closest thing to real football that they do before the season starts, the scrimmages are going to decide whether it's Austin or Keelan. But I do think it's close. And the good news for Alabama fans is the staff thinks they can win with either guy. It's not like they're choosing the lesser of two evils. I think they feel like they can win with Austin, they can win with Keelan, but they're going to pick the guy that moves the team and doesn't throw it to the defense.
Yeah, that's always important. Don't want to have those turnovers. Yeah.
You know what? And I think I'm going to agree with your first source. And I hadn't even been there, but I've been saying Austin Mack still has a little bit of the mental edge and just the overall academia of the offense, been around a little bit longer. Therefore, I think the Kelly Boyd's offense is going to be a little bit more confident, saying, hey, you take the reins. Now, but I don't think he's going to be very slow if that's not working, to say, I need to get my highly favorite, talented guy in there. So I think you may even see some both. I know, both quarterbacks. I think you might have to go into game 1 or 2 to see, let them play out some full live bullet games to see who really got command of this offense and can lead this football team. So I wouldn't even be shocked if that's what we see.
Coach Saban would tell you, you're going to need them both.
Yeah,
that's what Coach Saban would say.
No, that's true. And I guess it is a good problem to have that you feel so confident in either one. Jimmy, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. It's been fun, and it flew by. I wish we had more time. We're running against the clock. We got 2 breaks to hit in 4 minutes. So, Jimmy, before we let you go, man, please tell everybody how they can keep up with all the great work that you're doing and all the networks and all the good coverage that you got coming.
Hey, appreciate that, Christian. Locked on Bama. I got six shows a week with my co-host Luke Robinson. 30-minute show. We cut up a little bit. It's a little bit like a sitcom, but then a couple times a week, I'm on now with Travis Ryer on Cover Crimson now that Clint's moved on to BOL. And Travis and I, it's a little bit more like a drama. So it's like a TV star. I do a little sitcom with Luke and a drama with Travis.
We'll definitely be.
I love it. That's what's got to be, baby.
Oh, yeah. Gotta have some entertainment in there mixed in. Jimmy Stein, we appreciate you, brother. Look forward to doing it again next week, man.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it.
Take care, Jimmy. Very good.
Take care.
Good job, brother.
Good stuff. Good deal. We got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we keep on rolling.
I want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us.
The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393.
View event at Tuscaloosa Mazda. New location, corner of Skyland East Boulevard and Palisades Drive. TuscaloosaMazda.com. For details, visit TuscaloosaMazda.com.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. Blake Hoffmeyer swings by from USA Today. We'll continue our camp coverage around the University of Alabama. Another practice day. Line Grub Talks. We listen starting at 2 p.m. on The Game on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. The high today headed to 95 degrees. Guess what? It's going to feel even hotter. That heat index around 106, though. New factors humidity with a light breeze out of the south. And as temperatures heat up, there may be a few scattered thunderstorms developing. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun. Any rain that does move in today will taper off through the evening with an overnight low dropping to 76. After some early sun tomorrow, some afternoon storms may pop up with a high of 94. And hot and humid Wednesday with afternoon storms at a high in the mid-90s. This is meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 93 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Stay locked in, Tide fans. This is Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
In for about 20 seconds as we close things out on this Monday edition. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Chase behind the glass. Glad he's feeling better. We got so much to cover that we didn't get to everything, but big thanks to Jimmy Stein, who's now joining us every Monday here on the show, and all you guys listening via Tide 100.9, any of the streams. We appreciate you guys so much for all you guys do, for making this whole thing possible. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow for a Talking Tuesday edition right here, Tide 100.9, 12:30, WTBC.